4:05. What do you think?
Let's get it started.
We can get it started. There's always a recording, so if anyone walks in late, they can always watch the first, 10 minutes of what we post anyway. Dan, could you be a dear and get the door for me so I'm not shouting at the library? Well, it's really, yeah. Yeah, we're here at the library today and also online to talk about Google Apps. So I wanted to make sure the door was shut. People actually are doing work today, which is shocking. It being a Saturday, I applaud each and every one of you who are either logged on or in front of me right now. Everybody deserves some kind of medal, I feel like. It's Saturday. Look at Saturday medals. There we go. So I should be sharing my screen, so hopefully you guys are able to see it, those of you who are online. And those of you online, there should be a link in the chat area to go to my Google Apps. And you guys, I would like to share it with you here. I'll share it with you on my iPad so that you can all type notes together. It's part of my torturous plan so that you guys can, here we go. So you guys have an idea, type your email in, and that way you'll have access to the Google Apps notes. Yeah. Have either of you or those of you online used Google Apps before?
Yeah, Google Docs.
Google Docs?
Mm-hmm.
So mostly a couple use Google Docs, not as much with
very little.
Just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's see. Maybe a poll. There's like 9 of you.
Can you send the link in the chat again?
Yeah.
Hit return if you type there.
Yeah. There we go. It should be in the chat now. Should I unmute people? Let me see. I don't know how much sound I have on this thing. Let's see. Am I unmuting? Is it successfully? Oops. Okay. Those of you online, if you guys want to comment on your Google Apps usage in the chat box, and also use the link to open up notes. That way you can type along with everybody. But mostly I have seen people, so we got 1 no. That's good. Then this will be all new information for you. And a lot of you are familiar with just Google Docs. You're familiar with the other apps like Sheets, Slides, Forms, and all that. Okay, so there should be a link in the chat for you to open up the notes, and you were able to put in your email. There we go. Now you can type your email in. That way you'll be able to type notes together. We're all going to type notes together with Google Docs. So here we go. Doc pane. So here is the start of my presentation officially. Hey Nancy. Okay, so my name is Stephanie Riley. I work at the library. Why am I talking about Google Apps if I'm a librarian? I use them all the time. And I actually have done a lot of tech support for Google Apps to help students and staff and faculty use it in their own line of work. So I'm pretty familiar with it. I don't know everything. Dan's probably going to correct me half a dozen times. Thank you. No. Excellent. So why use Google Apps? Why are we doing this? I wanted to put together a couple real life reasons because I think we have some ideas. Google Docs, mostly you use them for what? What have you guys used Google Docs for, you two? Professors are saying you have to use it. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, that's nice. Okay, so they're integrating it.
I never even knew anything about it until my group.
So like group work. Well, that's good that some groups are hearing about it.
Well, group is a Facebook, everybody can write stuff and you can edit.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's some, I've noticed a recent update with suggesting edits, which I thought was really helpful.
I think it means she has a history, revision history,
but I do want to show you guys.
submit history.
So one of the main attractions that why I started using Google Apps, including Docs, is that I work everywhere, like this girl here. I have an office computer.
Muted. Unmuted.
I've also found like a lot of people don't like to carry their laptops around unless you have like the newest, thinnest, sleekest laptop. A lot of times it can be a hindrance. Whereas if you walk into a computer lab or into someone's home or you have a mobile device, it can be a lot more convenient to have all your stuff on in a cloud-based application like Google Drive, and then you don't have to take, all your documents are on that machine. And I don't know about you, but my roommate just destroyed her laptop by spilling coffee all over the keyboard, right? And then now all of her documents, where are they? She's going to have to get them retrieved. She's going to have to take it to Best Buy or something and have somebody get all the documents off her hard drive because they're saved on that machine. And so it's like not only are they too heavy, it might be so heavy that you drop it, right? And then all of a sudden your files are gone. And maybe you needed that. So I like to use it as a fail-safe. And I also see, especially if you're in school, you have a textbook for this class, a textbook for this other class, and then you have all this other stuff. Maybe you have a big purse, right? I always have shoes in my bag. And then you have a giant laptop too. That's like too much. Like your bag's already too big. You're like this little girl here. It's like twice as big as you are. And my big one that I really like to hammer home sometimes, hardware fails. If anyone remembers this cube at the bottom, this little square floppy disk, remember when we all went to flash drives because they were so much better. Anyone remember this? I hope people remember this, not just me. We're all, some people are saying, how did you print? You see that internet meme that was, how did you 3D print the save icon? Someone saw a disk and they'd never seen it before, and they thought it was a 3D printing of the save icon from a document. They didn't realize where the icon came from. Anyway, it was very funny. But this floppy disk was known to fail and demagnetize, and we were all like, oh, that's so insecure. I save all my things on a flash drive. Well, I don't know about you, but the library actually has probably 30 flash drives at any given time that someone's lost or left in the computer. And they often fail. Like I had someone kick it. We had it in a hard drive that was plugged into a PC on the floor, and someone walked by and kicked it by accident. They were just walking by, and they kicked it, and it broke it in half, and all of her work was gone. So I just really like, even if you just use it as a backup, I feel like Google Drive is a good habit to get into. So you already have Google Apps for Education, in case you did not already know that, as a St. Joe student. It's all linked through the Nest. This is my lovely picture of a Nest here. So you have access to all of these applications, including, it's basically like a Microsoft Office suite. So I know a lot of you have seen Google Docs before to write papers, but keep in mind if you've used other Office applications, those applications are there too. So we have, as a university, Google Drive with all those sort of Office type applications, including forms. You have your mail, so you probably have already noticed your email's Gmail, and you have the Google Calendar, which integrates very well with everything else. I actually don't end up using a calendar, so I'm terrible. Google Sites we can go into and play around with. It's basically like a website, so you can make a personal website using Google Sites, and it's a free account. So keep that in mind too if you want to get crazy with it. But I do a lot of my work in Google Drive. So this is mostly, we already covered, a lot of you are already finding it useful for classwork. So basically I don't have Microsoft Office, I just use Google Drive because I'm lazy and cheap, and it's already It's already saved up there. As soon as I start writing, it starts saving it. Yes, Google Docs and Google Drives, they save automatically over the internet, like every minute or something. And sometimes even more often than that. Such that even if you forget to name something or you don't have to like remember to save it. It's already saving automatically as you go. So I find that to be so reassuring because you always have something open, then the computer freezes or something, you lost your work because you forgot to save. Not the case with Google Drive. You just go to another computer, open it up, log in, and then there's an untitled document that you spent however long on. It's right there. It's pretty cool. So I do like it for classwork in that case. You never have that moment, where you get to the end of the paper, computer freezes and you lose it and you have to type it all over again. How many times does that happen? It's like, it's a tragedy. I know even once is too many times. It's a tragedy that I can't live with myself. I also found Google Forms. I use it for surveys in classwork. This is actually a real Google form that I made for a class that I was taking where I had to do like a mock research project. So I made a survey that I sent out to library staff about their tablet usage, and it was a multi-page survey. So if anyone's seen SurveyMonkey, one of the other ones that are, well, this is free. So yeah, Qualtrics. So you probably have filled out a lot of these surveys before, but you can actually make your own free surveys for this. It's called Google Forms, and I'll show you. Yeah.
That's for my practical.
It's pretty cool, right? Yeah. And you can, with the St. Joe's account, you can actually make sure that people have to log in before they submit their answers so that you don't have someone accidentally putting it in twice. You don't have anyone gaming your survey and affecting the results. They can only put in answers once. And it's tied to a real person. Yeah, so it's, yeah.
You can also share lesson plans with your teachers, and you can type, and then your grade group partners can see it.
Exactly, yeah, and that's where I hope if you guys have, are you logged into your, let me show you while we're talking, just in case you want to take notes as you go. Go to, here we go, the Nest, and log in, and here's Google Apps for SJU. So you guys have probably seen it, you always go to your email, perhaps, but Google Drive is right here, and I'm going to sign into another account, and you would sign in for St. Joseph's University, and there you go, and you end up going into it. I have like multiple drives open right now. So my notes document, the Google Apps tips, there's a tip sheet, which I will help you all get access to in the back row, those of you who came. Just add to share. Oh, here you go. So you should be able to get access through the shared with me on the side. There should be a document for you to, and you guys put in the same email, and then I can share the document with you as well. So what I was hoping is, like you were saying, you can share lesson plans with other teachers. In an office setting, you can share, this is how you can write policies and procedures together, or if you put annual report that you're all supposed to work on together. This is where it's at. This is going to be perfect.
Is it like an iCloud?
It's in the cloud, yeah. So it's like it's, well, you said it's like iCloud, and then it's not based on one computer. It stays on the internet, so that if you all have access to it, you can all work on it at the same time. Do you have it open? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you open it up, the Google Apps tips.
Where's that?
You can actually type it over. I'm a student, so I have access to it. How are you? This is 016. Oh, good. Thank you. Sorry, my hand's small. Where do you want me to go from here? Go to Google Drive. Thanks. Go to Google Drive, and then you'll see this page. And then go to Shared with Me, and you should see the document, Google Apps. It's like Google Apps Tips. So you should be able to open it. And so you see, this is where group work comes in. See, and you also see everyone gets like a weird, so those of you who have entered from the webinar chat screen, you're anonymous because I gave you a direct link to go edit. You have permissions to edit using that link. Those of you who I added through their emails, you actually have, you can tell who you are. So if you're in a group setting with teachers, if you're in an office, if you're doing group work for a class, if you're in a student club or organization, or any kind of personal, like if you yourself are organizing, like, you know, any kind of, like I saw Claremont McKenna College, the college, there was a disturbance where I think this was the provost was making comments that were inappropriate, and there was some racial tensions and everything, and students actually got together on Google Docs and collaboratively wrote a letter to the administration, including with very precise, bullet-pointed requests of actions that they needed to take. So it was really interesting that, you know, probably 100 people from that college, alumni, everyone collaborated on Google Docs to take action. So you can see that it can be personally really useful to like work together and use everyone's efforts all together, as well as like you can do stupid things like, you know, if you're all writing you can do like invitations, you can write a story together, like a round robin. You could do, you know, I need to write a letter, I need help with a cover letter for a job. You can share it with your friend, and they can make comments and work on it with you. So you can see this is what you're doing right now. So as I'm talking and you feel like I say something useful, which may or may not happen, feel free to type it in anywhere you want. So I'm talking about revision history, you know, automatically saves your document or whatever. If you want to make notes as to ideas as how to use it or something particularly strikes you, you can type together in real time, creating kind of like a guide to what I'm talking about right now in the moment. So you can actually use it for class notes. You know, you can all share a Google Doc. So if one of you falls asleep, the other one takes notes during that portion. Or if one of you falls asleep today, then hopefully someone else in the webinar or someone else here in the library will make some notes. So I want you guys, I'm not going to keep it on the screen. I want you guys to feel on the spot, but I want you to see you guys can actually use it and get used to it. And you see it's easy to use. Google Docs itself is like Word. Just as Google Sheets is like Excel, Google Slides is like PowerPoint. So those are three pieces of technology you probably already used in some way or another. You can just use them online in the cloud or it's saved on the internet, not on your computer. Google Forms, Google Sites, and Maps you probably haven't seen, and I'm going to demonstrate more of that. But I just wanted to show you and get you guys typing in the notes, so I hope you guys can be, I want to hear some typing as I'm talking. If you guys have any notes you want to take. So yeah, so this is going to be surveys you can take and forms. I know my friend wanted to collect everyone's addresses so she could mail them wedding invitations. So she made a form on Google Forms and sent it out to everyone in her address book that was coming. We filled it out, and then she made mailing labels with the information. So anything where you're gathering, right, you're gathering everyone's information. You can do, what are you bringing to the party kind of surveys. Do you want to join my book club? If so, which book would you prefer to do first? Do you have suggestions? People can type in. So I use this all the time. This is an event organization, for example. I use this professionally. I was running a meeting of librarians, and so I wanted to see who wanted to come on this particular meeting, what we wanted to talk about, and where they were from so that I knew all their information. Google Maps and what's called Google Tour Builder, which may be in beta, is very intuitive. If you can find directions somewhere on Google Maps, you can probably use Google Maps to make your own maps. This is a map of Mexico. One of my friends was going to Mexico, and they said, I don't know where to go. And I said, well, I'll tell you where we went. But at the time, they had a couple beers, and then no one had any paper. And I was just like, you know what? I'll just send you an email with all the places we went. And then I started looking into it, and I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to send them a map so they know where this stuff is, not just names, so they have to figure it out themselves. So I made them a map of all the places we went. And there's a new thing where if you want to present more information with this, Google Tour Builder is pretty good too. I'll show you where that is. So similarly with maps and also other Google Docs, you can actually use it to create web content, either for your work, for school, or for your personal use. So this particular website is a real website that's still in use where I used to work. I created a Google map of all the computer labs on campus, and then you click on the pins, and actually it shows you when the labs are open, like what hours and stuff like that. And then you can embed it on a website. So you can kind of build, if you're responsible for parts of your office website, or you need to want to build a personal one, you can actually embed Google content into your website. It's pretty neat. So like we were talking about, if everyone could get together, work together, you can collaborate and build anything. This is a Wikipedia symbol, but honestly, I feel like you kind of get the gist, right? Okay, so you're taking notes now, which is good. And I'm going to show you a little bit now in the actual apps. Here we are. So this is my actual personal Gmail. So if you have a personal Gmail, then congratulations, you have twice as much space to save your work. So if anyone really has never seen Google Drive, this is when you go into Google Drive, new, and you can actually, this is where you can upload files. So if you had documents already on your computer that you wanted to save, back up, take somewhere to go, you can save, you can grab them and upload them. Here we go. So I'll just like steal an assignment, and it takes just a minute and it uploads. There you go. And so it's a Word document, and immediately you can share with people specific emails, get a link and send to a group of emails. So like if you're like, I don't know who wants to be on this, but I'll just send it out to the group. You can grab a link. That's what I did, and put that in the chat. And it's nice. Anything with Google Drive, this is for Google Docs, PDFs that you've uploaded, maps, anything interacting with Google. They have a 3-tiered security system, not security, but privacy. So you can have it be private, only the people that you invite by email. It can be, you can send people the link so people can edit it together, or you can send the link, just say comment. So you can say, I'm almost done, here's my almost final draft. Just make some comments on this and you can send it out, just like probably your instructor students. And then anyone with the link can view is good for like a finished document. So that Claremont McKenna College that I was talking about, where they had come up with a list of demands, I found it on Facebook, but the way I couldn't get in and monkey around, they had just set it to be viewable, so anyone could view it with a link who stumbled upon it on Facebook, but then people couldn't get in and add random demands like, you know, I need a helicopter or whatever. And if you want to go too crazy, you can turn it public on the web. I don't recommend doing that. That's probably not, unless you want to go viral in some way, I would just keep that off. Keep it either on with the link or off specific people. If I could, I think some IT is going to murder me if I don't say anything right now about the privacy settings. If it's private, i.e. only people with a certain link can see it, that doesn't mean it's 100% confidential. So if you need to keep really private information, emails can always be hacked, and what is Google but an email? They're really good, but I mean, I haven't heard of any cases, but I don't know. You could also leave Google open on your computer, and so someone could simply sit down and monkey around with it. So I would keep things like taxes off of here. Don't upload, you know, PDFs of all your taxes and crazy files. You know, some people just go crazy. They want to back up everything, and it's sort of, maybe that's a bad idea. Similarly, if you are TAing or you're teaching, maybe keep student information out of here, like student grades. From a privacy standpoint, maybe that's a bad idea. Student work, I think, is okay, but student records, as in grades, are probably not a good idea. I'm sure people break that all the time, but I feel like I have to say that. There we go, done. And so like, you can share it, and then with a Word document or another Office document, you can actually, it'll give you the choice to open it as a Google Doc. So right now it's .doc with a W, so it's actually like a Word document that's just saved in the cloud. But when I actually work on it, you can open it up, and it's now a Google Doc magically. They convert it. So now, you guys have already been familiar with Google Docs a little bit. I know some of you. If you haven't, you will quickly realize that you're already familiar if you know Microsoft Word. right? So you guys have been typing in notes, I hope, as we go, I hope. But there's still a file. You can make a copy, download as, which I particularly like. You can download as a PDF. So if you're all working on it together, you say, okay, we're done, it's due at midnight. Download it as a PDF, upload it to Blackboard. So you can still, you don't have to use anything fancy to submit things. Just work on it in the cloud and then save it.
Stephanie,
Yes.
question. Everything that I'm doing for class is already going to Google Docs, and I'm not uploading it or anything.
Oh, that's good. I just wanted to let people know that you can upload things.
But is that, I mean, how's that happening?
People must be sharing things with you that they've already started. I know in my class they had given us Word templates, and they said when you do your group project, it should fit this template. Mm-hmm. And then one of my group members was just a fast mover, and she went and would upload it to Google Docs, convert it like I just did, right, and then share it with everybody and say, okay, let's get to work. So she might have just.
So if my professor
mm-hmm.
is.
Yeah, and if your professor's already using it.
Doc, that's where it's going to be, because that person put it there.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sounds like your instructor is really into using it, and that's really cool because it does have all the commenting and the suggesting and things like that. A lot of people, like in my online classes, they just say you can use whatever and then submit to the Blackboard assignment. So they don't care how you do it, they just want you to submit it. So we use Google Docs because it's so easy, but it's really neat that they're using it the whole process, the writing process. That's actually what it's really good for. So you can see, I was talking about the automatically saving to see revision history. So in terms of the writing process, especially if you have someone writing, this is a terrible sentence, and I hate it, blah, 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 blah. So you can actually go to, and you'll notice all changes saved in Google Drive. So watch while I type, watch this area here, you can watch it automatically save. This is saving as I'm typing. Isn't that great? Check it out at the top of the screen. You see once I stop making changes, it says, okay, we got it. We got all your changes. Isn't that neat? So as you're taking notes, you'll notice that as well. And if you feel like, oh, I forget, we made a choice here where we started writing in a certain way, and I wanted to go back to the old draft. You can actually see, this is my draft from just this minute ago when I was typing. So do you want to go back to the original? So you can look at the original, and you're like, you know what, I prefer how I uploaded it. I don't want to add that anyway. Restore this revision. You can go back and save it. So it's got revision history, which I think is really nice because of that automatic saving. It's always there. Yeah. Sure.
My account and use the internet to use the Google Docs and Google Sheets.
Yeah, to get to the Google Apps for St. Joe's, you always have to log into the Nest. Yeah, the Nest. And I can help you.
I have my Google account.
Oh, you have a regular account?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I can use my regular account as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. So that means you just have more space.
Okay.
And what I have done is I have 3 or 4 different Google accounts because, don't ask, I don't know why. I have one that's only personal, and it's like party information, weddings I have to go to, just fun things. And I have one for schoolwork. That's the one you're actually seeing right now. It's the Stephanie.Riley@gmail. And then I keep all my work things in a separate account. So you might find you have a personal Gmail, right? Maybe you only use personal things or schoolwork in there, and then, if you end up using another account, like the St. Joe's account could be just for schoolwork, and then your personal account's for personal. You can separate it. It just means you have twice as much space. You can do either one. So if you're in, this is my personal, you'll see, if I go to, Gmail. So if I'm in my Gmail, for my personal account, that has nothing to do with St. Joe's, this is my personal email account. You just go to the squares up top. See that? The little menu. And then you go to your drive. So you don't have to go through the nest. So if you have your personal, you can just go through. And that's a good question. I'm showing off the St. Joe's education, like apps for education, but if you have a personal Gmail account, you already have it for yourself. You already have a personal account.
On the account, it will stay.
Yep. Yeah, so you see I have things, I started using this just a few years ago, just a couple years ago for sort of, I use this for work, but for my work, like things that I'm doing. Whereas I have a work account, that's actually the library's Gmail account. That's where I use, that's where official documents go, like reports that I need to share with the library staff. So I have like you'll have to figure out an organization that works for you with 2 different accounts. Yeah. Yeah, so if you anytime you do you can do a new Google Doc sheet or slides, and it'll just save it automatically. So this is a new document, and this is where you can say, well, I have to do APA format. This is a school paper, blah, 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 blah. And so you have the normal printing, undo, so all the same things you see in Word. You have headings and styles, which I use a lot, heading 2, heading 3, so that they're officially the same size, especially for long papers. You know, you might have introduction, you know, the body, and the conclusion, you might mark them. Different fonts like you're used to, different sizes, bold, all the same stuff you are used to seeing in Word, you'll see up here. So some of you have already seen this, but you know, inserting a link, inserting a comment, I need to work on this comment. And so the comments will always show up on the side. Yeah.
If you typed it in Word,
Mm-hmm.
then put it into Google Docs and then finish typing there?
Yes, absolutely. So just like you saw me upload the document in the beginning, you would then open it up in Google Docs and just start typing right away. That's actually what I was doing over here. This was all written in Word. It was a document that I had saved on this computer previously.
Okay.
And then I can just go ahead and just say, okay, this part is written online in Google Docs. And that's just now, it's a new document. It's in my Google Docs. I have this, you know, I'm working on it, working on this assignment. And any edits you make will now be here. So I can say, well, you know, I forgot to make it double space, so I'll double space it. You know, so anything you do, now it's a new document. So when you open it up on your computer, the old document that you uploaded, it'll still be the old one. Because you're working on the internet now, okay. It's actually in your Google Drive. So it'll save online automatically, but it'll be saved on the internet. It won't be saved on your computer. So just keep in mind, just remember that like the new one is online.
Okay.
So once you, yeah, it's always like transitioning from working offline to online if you're used to opening it up. And it's just an extra step of remembering, but it saves so much. How many of you remember collaborating with people at work, for example, maybe other teachers, maybe other staff members, wherever you may work, and you end up attaching a Word document to your email, and it's called Final Report with a date on it, right? And then you email it to the department, and then someone emails you back and says, you know, you forgot my part. I was supposed to say something in that paragraph. Here's my edits. And they send you a Word document back that's like final report, today's date, with edits. And everyone's saving and naming and renaming, where you end up with this long, terrible, convoluted situation. Whereas if you were collaborating in Google Docs, it's all right there. It's all one document, and you're all working on the same one. So you can see all the same settings and everything you need. If you're doing group work, so for example, let me open up my notes, which should be here. It is, Google Apps Tips, Google Apps Tips. Here we go. So instead of editing the document directly, maybe I'm doing group work, so I don't want to make edits that will be permanent necessarily. I want to suggest them to the group. Okay? So I can go suggesting, and this is relatively new. So if you've used Google Docs in the past, you might not have seen this before. So and it'll say, you know what, let's get rid of this part. And I'll just say file copying is more important, or whatever. I'm adding information to this. So while you're taking notes yourself, here we go, feel free to make suggestions instead of editing. Go up here, suggestions, and then you end up with kind of comments on the side that refer to. So while I deleted that, it didn't delete it. It's like it crosses it out. It's like track changes. If you ever use track changes in Word, it's like that. So you can see I made a suggestion of deleting this and writing this instead, but it colors it in green because that's my color, and then it puts my name on it. So you see who made that edit. And if you're okay with that, you can just say, well, I think that edit makes sense. I'll accept the suggestion.
And it changes?
And it changes it. So as a group setting, but it's also really good. Let's see. Okay. So you're suggesting edits. And you can also make a statement. You know, you can reply to it. Not sure if we need a new paragraph. What do you think? And so then my statements are there, and you guys, if one of you wants to do this, you can reply to it and let me know what you think. So you can actually do real-time group work online live. That's what I use it for all the time. And all of these settings, the suggesting edits, you know, the comments with your name on and everything. I believe this is also available in Sheets or Slides. So if you also have to make a group presentation and you're working in Slides, it works the same way. You can collaborate in real time. Yeah, you're in there. So the suggesting are pretty cool if you guys want to do that. And if you were curious to see, like, well, how are we really looking? How, with all these suggestions, you know, what will it look like at the end? You can see like kind of a preview of what it'll look like. But I'll just keep it on suggestions so you can see. And this is great. You can see, you can make comments and say, Heather, you work on this part, you know, and I'll work on this top part, and Gail's on the middle. And you can see us all live typing and working together. So you can kind of see what people are doing, you know. So if you see someone start typing something that you don't like, or you like a lot, you can say, you know, insert comment, that's an awesome idea. And it's like pretty great. This is relatively new. It used to be you just all worked on it together and you wouldn't see who did what necessarily. It wasn't that clear. You know, it wasn't as live. It wasn't as dynamic. But I kind of feel like with a group setting, group projects are sometimes so deadly. And if you're all like kind of collaborating, you can see what people are doing. So I hope you guys feel comfortable enough to just kind of start working on this. And I wanted to go into, let's see. Okay, here we go. So that's kind of, let's see, seeing in its tables. Oh yeah, and just like Word, if you guys have seen this, but it's a little easier in Google Apps, I think. You can insert an image, and if you have it on your computer, you can upload it here. You can take a screen snapshot from the screen. I believe I haven't used this actually much. Oh no, now I'm going to free. Here you go. Okay, I will allow. Oh my gosh, it's using my webcam. So there I am. That's going to go right in there. Perfect. There you go. So now that's what our notes are. So now you guys who are online can feel like you're with the presence of a madman, a madwoman possibly. There's my image that I wanted to put in there. Insert image. And the snapshot is the webcam. So because there's a camera here, it's this little thing on top of the computer. But more useful is actually, because oftentimes you don't have an image, but you're like, oh, I'd really like to put something in there to kind of liven it up. It looks kind of boring. If you have photos in your Google Drive, you can import them. Or you can search the internet and they have stock photos that are open copyright that you can use. So you can say, well, I'd really like an image of maybe like an Egyptian scroll would be kind of neat because we're all taking notes. Maybe there's a scroll we can put in. Cool, I'm going to grab that. And you can, just like in Word or any other Office product, you can select it, make it small, do all the kinds of stuff for it. You can say, well, I really want to crop it. I just want half a scroll, so I'll just, crop it. Sweet. So now I'm half a scroll here. You're welcome. We can also delete this, so feel free to reject my edits that I'm making manically with inserting images. Similarly, one really nice thing is just like in Word, but it's actually a little easier in Google Docs. You can do an equation. So I don't know, if they're mathy, I know sometimes as math teachers, you're trying to write an exam, right? You can actually write it in Google Docs now, which is pretty neat. And if you just want to present information, you can do a table just like in Word. See how easy that is? You can just say, okay, I want table. And then you can just type right in there and say, okay, name, role, maybe the role in the group project. So maybe at the top of the group project, you can say, well, Stephanie, she's leader, obviously. She's the group leader. Yep, she's pretty great. But she's crazy. So you can put like notes. She's crazy. Okay. And Heather can be in here. And, it's pretty cool. So then you end up filling it all in. Nancy, assistant, and the lion tamer. So you can kind of like just use it, and just like with Word and everything, you can say, well, I want all this bold, I want all their names color-coded, or you can say, well, I want the table to be table properties. See, it's just like Word, table properties, and you can say, well, I want it all to be nice light blue. Sweet. So then now, that's looking really good, I think. So I'm done with that.
Don't you think it's easier? You got it easier than Word? Easier to...
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so, because I feel like Word, it's an older program.
Yeah.
It started much earlier, and I think it's harder to.
Google got it more easy to maneuver.
Yeah, it's like it just seems to be more intuitive, I think. So footnotes, comments you've already seen. Page numbers, so that's very important for group work or school work in any count. Headers and footers and all kinds of things. Table of contents, just like in Word, make sure you're using, remember I showed you the format here and the styles. It's also here, the normal text versus title versus heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. If you're not familiar with this, you can learn it in Word too. They do it the same way. But if you're doing, you'll see forms is written all big, slides is written big, sheets. The way I did that was you'll see sheets is actually a heading 2 style. So I made everything a heading 2. So maybe right here I'm going to insert a table of contents, and it does it automatically. So now it's a clickable table of contents within that document, just like in Word. So if you've ever seen this in Word, you know now it's here. It's here. You can still do it. So now, because I made these heading 1, heading 2, heading 2, heading 2, heading 2, heading 2, heading 2, they're all here in a row in the table of contents. And if I wanted to, I want to number them, you can do it right there. So you can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are the sections of my paper. And so you have a clickable table of contents automatically in the front. That's that. You guys have seen this. A lot of this you can do double spacing, custom spacing, all that. And of course, if anyone's doing any schoolwork, you need to know the word count of things. So you can, select all, word count, sweet. I know about you. I have to have a word count for all my documents that I submit to school, so it's always useful. But it does have all the things. Basically, 98% of what normal people need from Microsoft Office, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, is all up here in Google Drive. So if you're at all familiar with those programs, you're already familiar with this. The only thing fancy is you can actually add all kinds of other things that I'm not going to go into. But Dan probably already knows about, so you can make a meeting with him. So add-ons and things. Similarly, let me go here and I'll just show you. I will show you kind of interesting spreadsheet. No, definitely not going to show you that. Here we go. I have a lot of untitled spreadsheets. Oh yeah, this is a spreadsheet I made. I was doing testing for someone at work. So I was testing links. So I put all my links in here, and I put in where I was. I put all these things in. And I had all my browsers. I was testing using different browsers. So I put my browsers, whatever it would be. But you can kind of fill this. So I filled this out as I went through testing and made notes, and then I could send it to my work friend who needed that information. So it can be anything, new sheets. Bada bing, now it's like a blank spreadsheet, right, like an Excel. So even if you're just putting in information that you already have in paper maybe, you know, first name, last name, birthday, grade level, you know, mother, guardian, father. You know, so if you were keeping information about like students, or if you're like in charge of a Girl Scout troop, whatever it is, you can kind of put in this information to keep it straight for you. It's really whatever you want to do. For example, there was a hilarious one that I had done for all the weddings I was going to, where I was invited to 6 weddings in 1 year. And I don't have it here, but I ended up with whether I RSVP'd, basically I needed to buy transportation, hotel, what dress I was wearing, shoes I was wearing, and then I think whether or not I bought them a gift. And I had all this for like all these weddings I was going to. It was just for me personally. It wasn't for anybody else. But so I was saying, well, you know, whether or not I've RSVP'd, I was also doing who the wedding was. So maybe it was my brother, Tim and Rachel, and whether or not I RSVP'd. And just like in Excel, you can do formatting, where you go to data, and my favorite thing is validation. Anyone seen data validation before? Yeah. I like to do a list of items. So like yes, no. Because really that's it. Whether or not you've RSVP'd is yes or no. So you can say, okay, yes, no, I did not RSVP to that person. You know, and things like that. And then whether, similarly, I was like, there we go. So I can say, you know, no, I haven't booked the transport for that one. But I have a ride. I know I have a ride, so I can say yes to that one. So you can kind of go through and kind of validate it for yourself, the kind of information. If you wanted all the no's to pop up in red, just like in Excel, data, what's it called? Oh, I'm sorry, format and conditional formatting. So this is just like in Excel. So if you know Excel, you already know how to do this. You can say, if text contains no, I would like it to appear red. And then all of a sudden you have a spreadsheet and all the no's are red. So you can see that's what I have to follow up on. These are all the things I have to do. So that's kind of like spreadsheets. I think there's nothing really fancy. Let me see. I was going to show you about sheets. Oh yeah, and if you have a header, you'll notice as soon as I scroll down, the header goes away, right? Well, I had to figure this out for somebody. So if you don't know how to do this, don't feel like, oh, how come I don't know how to do this already? I had to figure this out. So you select under your header, and it's going to be, let's see, I've already forgotten where it is. View, that's right, view, and then freeze, 1 row. So now all of a sudden, see that dark line? I can scroll and get down to maybe the 30th wedding I'm going to, and I can still see the information and what it means. So it makes headers for you, which is nice because then you can sort data, sort ranges. So you can say, I'm going to sort by the dress I'm wearing because I need to go to the dry cleaners right now, and it'll sort the data according to that, whatever you want. So that's kind of that. I don't want to go into it too much. The only thing I would say is the newest and best thing about Google Drive is Google Forms. So the Google Forms you probably haven't seen before. Has anyone used Google Forms before? I'm going to check in. Here we go, Google Forms. Okay. Here we go. So I'm not sure if you guys have seen Google Forms before. This is the surveys I was talking about. Test form. You can do whatever questions. Name, say preferably first name, and it'll be a text. So these are all your question types. You make people check boxes, choose from a little like drop-down menu, so you can build your own drop-down menu. Scale or grid, so like scale is nice. If you're doing like strongly agree, strongly disagree, like a Likert scale of any kind, you can make it scale that way. And grid will do it for like multiple questions. So if you want to say, well, I want to ask people about a bunch of things, you know, how does this make you feel? Row, you know, webinars, and, you know, in-person classes. So the rows would be what I'm asking about, and then the columns are the scale. So you could say terrible, just bad, neutral, fine, and awesome, and then done, okay? And then you end up with a nice little grid. So if anyone does have to do research for a class, to do a test survey, to like see something out, or you're just trying to get feedback, did you like my Google Apps webinar? I'm probably going to send you a form later. Any kind of form, so you can make people check, you know, that makes me feel terrible, etc. No, and then you want to say, maybe you want a different kind, so maybe you want open-ended, you know, please clarify if you selected terrible. So what about it was terrible? We would like to not be awful next time. There you go. And then that's like a long answer text. So they can type a whole paragraph in there. They can do whatever you want.
And they can still comment if I'm doing a survey for a class and the instructor can go in and look at it.
Yeah, I think insert, let's see. So let's see, there's I have add collaborators. So maybe I will, okay, be able to view form responses. So you can add collaborators. So I'm pretty sure, I think they can only edit. I don't think they can comment because it looks like the permissions don't allow commenting. But they'd be able to fix it. So they say, I saw question 2 was a little weird. I fixed the wording on that. So they could actually look at it and edit it.
So you have to check the box that says add collaborators?
Yeah, it's like it's similar to the share. So it's if you're working on a survey or a form together,
yes,
that's where you would add a collaborator there, and you would work on it collaboratively. Yeah, sure. And so similar, you can see now how share versus collaborate might be different for a form, because sometimes you might be sending the form to someone because you want them to fill it out, whereas she's working on someone with the form itself, so it's add collaborator. That's why the language is a little different, because there's 2 different ways to share a form on either side of the coin. And this is pretty great. There's the embed link. So if you had a personal website or you had a work website where you wanted to put a feedback form, you can embed this form. It will give you code. See this? That's HTML code. It will give you code to copy and paste into your website, and then the form would appear, and they could fill it out on your website.
So if I wanted to send this survey to teachers in my school,
Mm-hmm.
I could put their email in that box?
Yeah, if you want to
do it for the whole group.
Well, let me get to that. Let me do this right now, because actually, if you wanted to actually, you're already you have a live form here, so you can do. If you wanted to send it out, you could send the form link this way, just grabbing the link to the form, mm-hmm. Or you could, here we go, file, and then send form, and then here's where you could enter. So if you have a Gmail and you're already mailing people back and forth with this, you already have their contact. So you might say, well, I want to send this to Dan. Oh, here, I'll send this to my mom. You know, I'll send this to Denise. So then they'll get the form to their email. So it's all built in if you want to send it by email. If you want to just share the link, you can copy and paste and send that into another mass email. So maybe, you know, maybe you made it in your St. Joe's, maybe you're doing it for class, it's in your St. Joe's email, but you're sending it to you know, your family, or you're sending it to your work friends. You don't necessarily email them with your St. Joe's email, right? So that's where it might be easy to just grab the link, go into your work email, and send it to you know, all staff members at stjoes.com or whatever. Yeah, so that's where you can say, that's why you can share it in multiple places. I know I'm in a professional group in Facebook, so if I wanted to survey librarians, I can share it on Facebook and use their plugin to share it, and it would put the link right on my Facebook page. Say, hey guys, I'm doing a survey for class. Please help me out, do my survey. So you can use it that way. And there's all kinds of, I'm going to choose from a list and just show you some more questions. Which best describes your Saturday? And then you would say boring, Google Apps. I could say great. Pretzels are in the back of the room, so that's awesome. And if you were building a real survey to do maybe a mock research project for class, or you wanted to build in, you can actually build in logic. So you can say, depending on the answer that they select, if they say boring, maybe you take them to a page where it says, what would you rather see in a webinar? If they select great, you can say, oh, are you willing to come to other webinars? Here's a bunch of links to the other ones. So you can kind of, based on logic. Similarly, if you say, how often do you use the library? And someone says never, right? So maybe you make a second page that has questions for people who have never used the library. But if someone says all the time, then maybe the form is over. Maybe you just want to hear from people who never use the library. So you can actually use those questions to clear people out and get rid of people that way. There you go. Okay. And then if I look at the live form and submit it, you can say it's terrible. I hated it. And I never used the library. There you go. And I didn't actually create a second page, so that's why it just submits. So there you go. Thank you. And where do your responses go? Here's where they go. It actually goes into a spreadsheet. So Google Forms will create a spreadsheet based on what your questions are. So if you have your questions already coded, I think we're going to be okay. So what you want to keep in mind when you're designing your survey is to make sure you chunk your data as small as possible. So for example, you might want people's first names and last names and their titles. Make those separate questions so that you can sort and alphabetize people by last name or print name tags based on their first name, right? So depending on how you're going to use the information, it's sometimes really, really useful to make all your information modular, like by itself, single pieces of information for single question areas. So a lot of times people make that rookie mistake where they have people type in multiple pieces of information, like a date and a time all in one box. And then you can't sort and see who prefers an afternoon versus who prefers a Tuesday, and it's like messed up. So it hurts your data that way. I think all you really need to know, except for silly things like, see, edit form. So you can, if you don't like the way the spreadsheet looks, this is where you can fix it. If you like a question you want to ask, it's sort of a, if you're like, oh, I want to use that scale again, I just want to make it, slightly different, you can make a copy and see, say, instead you want to see how much do you hate this, and then you can have maybe the same grid and just say homework or work. And so then now you have two different kind of based on the same question, especially if you build like the grid questions and things. You don't want to redo it all the time. You can copy. And I'm going to do check boxes, and you can see how that is. And all these different questions, You can make them required or not required. So if it's something you absolutely need, like their name, you make it required. If it's just their email, maybe, please put in your email. Email is optional. And then just leave it not required so that someone could skip that question if they didn't want to put in their email. Okay? That's kind of like generally it. I don't want to like belabor. I feel like I'm already going kind of long. How are you guys doing? Is everybody has taken notes for me? You are? Nice. Yeah, see, I was going to make up a whole handout for you guys, and then I thought, well, I know that I don't want to go through all this because I'm going to mess it up. And I thought, it's more understandable if you're writing it as you go because you know what you need to know. Test forms. Oh, slides. Just a quick, I want to show you a little bit about slides. Oh, and you see, this is what I did. I always forget to do this now. Forms now. I click that little menu button, and I get taken to all my forms. So these are all the forms that I've made. So I could say, well, what did I do for that survey last year? What did I do when I was asking people about that? I can take a look at that. And then similarly, I can just say, well, I don't want to do forms anymore. I want to see that paper. What's my paper requirement? Or I want to make a presentation based on my form. Maybe I got my form results back, and now I'm like ready to make my presentation. And you just make a blank one. So it's just like PowerPoint. And here's a couple things I do want to show you explicitly. The best thing about, I think the one thing this really has, you see it's easy to use. It's similar to Microsoft Office, so you already know how to use it. But probably the best thing about this is the ability to insert other content into your slides and other stuff from your Google Drive. So you can actually insert images again. So if you have photos, upload photos, you can do that. My favorite is video. How many people have tried to put in a PowerPoint? Yes, you try to get a YouTube video somehow in your PowerPoint, and it is like impossible. You just basically can't do it. You have to link to it, essentially. Well, because this is in the cloud already, you can say, well, I'm showing people about the library, so I'm going to find a library video that I have. And this is actually a student video. A student made this video, so I'm going to select that one, give her a little bit of props. And then here's the video. Okay. And if you want to preview it, I'm going to present this. Here's my slides that I made. Clean the video, and it actually there you go. There's the YouTube video. Wasn't that easy? There it is. There's that YouTube video. Of course, the internet's going to be slow on me, so it's going to look like it's not that great, but you see what I mean. It's just insert video, and then I searched YouTube for it, but if you have a URL to the video, like from YouTube or Vimeo or something, here's a URL. So you can copy paste it if you have a specific one. I'm always doing the library ones, so I'm always looking for them, and then all the videos and things.
And then your slide, it automatically shows up, and it's not a link.
It's not a link, it's just there. I know, right? It's like the best thing. When I found this out, I was like, oh, because everyone wants to know, because, you have maybe 15, 20 slides, and you want to say, well, there's a little video on this I wanted to show. I had an event at my school, and students came to it, and I just want to show how happy the students were when they did their thing. And you can show a video of the students right there. Like a real multimedia presentation. And you can also import slides. So if you're making slides if you have a bunch of, so maybe I want to use some of my Google Apps slides. And here's a good time where I'm going to put in my Google Apps. A couple of these slides are really useful, but maybe I only have 5 minutes to talk to people about Google Apps, so I'll just keep it to a couple slides. And I can just do that. Sorry, I think my screen's too small. There we go. Import slides. And so then all of a sudden I have my little YouTube video that took me 2 seconds, and then slides that I had already had from my other presentation that I put in. Pretty easy. Similarly, it's really easy if you have, so if you wanted to put in images, it's the same as when I had the Google Doc and I was putting in crazy pictures. It's the same thing. You go to insert image, and actually this is where you can upload, use webcam, use URL, or search for it. So if you're doing a presentation, that's where I got all these images from. I made all those slides from Google Drive. So what do people want to put in our presentation? What might be something? Let's see. All right, I'm going to put in students. So here's some students working. That's good. And then all of a sudden you have an image in here. And they're all okay to be used publicly. They're all copyright okay to put in your presentation. The only thing I would say is if you end up finding something that has like data or information that you're citing that information, like you're not just using a picture to be pretty, just double check on where that image came from and that the image, like that information is okay to use. But in general, there's just to spice up your slides. There you go. Oh, okay. So unlike forms, so you can comment. You can say, this image sucks. Let's swap it out. So if you're working on a group presentation, you can collaborate just like we had been, and you can share just like we had been with the Word document, with the, the Google Doc. And then, of course, the great thing is you can do like I did. If you feel like, oh, I'm worried I won't have internet, I'm going to a conference, or I'm going to this other school where they always have weird network problems and I can't get online, this is where, okay, you made it all in Google Drive and it's all there, but you can back it up by downloading a PowerPoint and saving that. So you can like do multiple things. So now you have a PowerPoint just in case you don't have internet that day, which I don't know, it sounds like it would not happen, but I've been at conferences where like, okay, we didn't have internet on that. You know, the laptop was delivered 5 minutes before we were going on, there were network issues, and we actually could not present with internet. So I was like, oh, good thing I brought that PowerPoint. So it's all good. It's good to have backups. I think I've just been running on fumes. Let me see if there's any questions or chats. Oh, thanks. Thanks for typing that, by the way. Anyone have any? I'm looking for questions. Yeah, if anyone has any questions at this point, I feel like I've just thrown information at you, and I don't want to. Some of you have been asking questions as you go, which is really good. You want to have any questions
so
right now?
On,
yeah.
Google, when you go on, like you said, you have like multiple accounts. Like
yes.
Email accounts. So,
I have multiple accounts. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when I go on, so like when I log on to the SJU.
Yep.
Sometimes before I do that, the Google Mail thing comes up.
Yeah.
You have to put your, I guess, log into that. But then it'd be like all the other emails come up. I'm like, I didn't know I had an email.
Oh.
So where's that coming from?
Well, that's coming from your computer, people with different Gmail accounts logged on, and it didn't remember their password, but it remembered that they had logged on. And so for convenience, they're saying, oh, are you one of these accounts? Because you can just log right back in this way. Let me show you.
No, I mean, like sometimes it'll be like, so like if I transfer from another.
Sure, and it's like other.
And I'm like, oh.
Does it look like this?
That email
Does it look like this?
And it's still on there. And then there was another one that I remember setting up, but I never really used it. So that's all that is still just.
Yeah, the browser, your browser settings must just remember it. You know,
okay.
For example, I took, they're actual accounts. Oh. So if you can still get back into it, you can probably still use it. So right now I have, and you can see,
like that,
you didn't see me log in. This is the library's account. I present often from the library's account in this classroom. Today I didn't log in. But you see, I said add account, and all of a sudden, I have a personal one that you saw me, I was logged in, that's where all my stuff is. You saw me, I went in the Nest, and I logged in, that's my St. Joe's one. And then there's the library. It's doing exactly what your computer's doing. It's saying, did you want to log back into this one? Because I remember this. Well, not today. Maybe I want to log into my personal one. And there we go. And you just go Google crazy. So these are all my other stuff that has nothing to do with anything. These are just like my own documents that are personal. And then you look, see now I have my little image up here, my little icon. That goes with that Google icon, but it's saying, oh, did you want to go back? I see you're also logged in under that one. Are you looking for a document over here? So you can say, okay, great. Yeah, I'm looking for that one. And it'll open up your Google Drive for that account too. So you can go between if you have multiple ones. If you have personal versus St. Joe's, you can say, no, I'm working on homework now. I know when my classmates shared something with me, you can go into St. Joe's and then shared with me, and then here's all the things that my classmates have been sharing with me in my group project. That's we actually did a group project, so we worked on that. So you can see all my classmates, and then this is my student worker. I had her take pictures of the library and then upload them into a folder on her Google Drive, and then she shared the whole folder with me. And now I have all these pictures that she took around the library in my Google Drive. Some of you who have been on our Facebook page may notice some of them. We're trying to just show off like art that we have in the building, so I just told her to go around, take all these pictures of art. And so she did, and so she ended up sharing the whole folder with me. And now I have access to all the pictures she took. Yeah, so collaborating, it's a good thing. Maps is like something I just kind of barely mentioned. But you'll see if you go into Maps, let's see. You know, market even more from Google. They're always trying to show you more. There's Maps, Maps Mobile. These are all the other Google apps that are kind of out there. May or may not be available through St. Joe's, but they're out there for personal Google. It's a ton of stuff. Most of the time, Maps. We go to Google Maps, and you'll see I'm still signed in under my account, so I can make a map. So let's see. Do Tony Roney's on City Avenue. So maybe I'll make a map of all the places you can eat near campus. I can say, okay, save. Maybe I'll add to a map. Let's see. Let's take a look at this. Add a photo. So I can do all kinds of stuff because I'm already logged in. And share. So I can share this map, stuff like that. And there is a way to add it to a map, and now I'm like trying to remember where that is. Oh, My Maps. Here we go. So there's my trip to Mexico I showed you guys. I can create a new map. I'll call it food. And you can kind of search Tony Roney's. Here it is. Here's Tony Roney's. You can say add to map. So now when I share this map with people, people will see here are all the food places that I enjoy. Now go eat. I actually did make one for like fun bars in Ardmore, and then sent out to my friends who was trying to get them to come hang out with me. And I'm abrasive, so nobody wants to hang out with me. But anyway, you can see any Google application, if you're signed in, you can actually make maps, write reviews, kind of like Yelp, do all kinds of stuff. I think I have exhausted myself and yourselves. So any other questions? Yeah.
What's the difference between Microsoft Word and Google Docs?
Well, the biggest difference would be Word right now is only available, well, there's Office 365 now, right? I don't know. Have you used that?
I've used it some. I would say the difference is that with Word, even if you have Word able to save in the cloud, you still have to hit save. Whereas,
then that's a bit.
yeah, and I'm sure you've all had that experience where you're like 3/4 of the way down the paper and the computer crashes and you have to write the whole thing again. Like that's all. Whereas like Google Docs,
I get
you have one word in there.
Yeah, save as you go. That is the best thing.
I think that's the best. Yeah.
Save as you go. And I think collaborating might be easiest in Google Drive, especially with the St. Joe's. If you're doing group projects, you automatically assume everyone already has it. No one has to sign up for it. It's already there. You just have their emails already, and you just put them in. Yeah. And then personally, it's because you can send people the link to edit. People don't actually need a Google account to edit your document. So if you just wanted to send it to your like random uncle who doesn't know technology, if you send a link, you can click on it and then edit it as well. So it's really interesting to collaborate that way. I think collaborating is easier.
But as far as creating documents, there are no tools. It's virtually the same thing.
Yeah, it's virtually the same thing, absolutely. New, docs, and then there's all your stuff. Like there's all your settings and
like minute differences on
there's
how you
minute.
go about doing something, but all the options that are available in Word are also available in Docs. It might be under the edit window in Word, but it's under the tools window in Docs.
Yeah, it's about reading. And related to that, just so I don't forget, help is built in just like in Microsoft, except I find it to be pretty helpful. So Docs help, So you can say, so how do I add a page number? Oh, here we go. Say add page numbers, and it gives you how to do it. You know, if you're like, no, I wanted to do a graph, add a charter graph to a spreadsheet. Here's how to do it. So they always have help built in that little help area. And similarly, if you're just not sure, Google Drive help. There's actually Google Drive help, the Google Help Center, and you can kind of study up. And if it seems to be acting funny, they have troubleshooting, but they have all the apps here, and then they have videos. So if you were like, oh, I know she talked about that, I forgot how to do that, probably Google has additional videos and help on how to get more things that even I don't know how to do, which is pretty likely. And the good thing is their help's available in a lot of different languages because it's such a global place, so you can share it with anybody. And then I've also just found sometimes I just get frustrated. How do you freeze a row in Google Sheets? And my friend had asked me, how do you freeze a row in Google Sheets? And I said, I don't know. And then I Googled it, and then it came up. So, like, as long as you get used to, how do I do that thing? How do you do that thing? Throw it in Google, and you'll see, because it's Google, it just shows up as information. So that's pretty cool. So I guess that is, I will let you all, let me see if there's other questions here. Good, that was a response. Just lost sound. Oh, shoot. That's okay? Okay. All right. Well, then I think we're okay. Yeah.
How can I add the content? Like, you just did, what you just did,
How to add an account?
No, how to add my comment.
Oh, how to add your comments to
My previous document.
Oh, to a previous document. Usually it's there's usually the insert comment here in the menu, or insert, and then there's an area for comment. I think because there's no text in here, there's nothing to comment on. Hello. Let's see. Oh, it's not letting me type. It's being weird. Sorry, I think I'm having a computer issue, not Google. Here we go. So here's the Google apps like we're doing. Say, ooh, spreadsheets, insert, comment. There you go. It's usually under insert, or there's sometimes a little insert comment button. Yeah. This is a heading style comment. Then it'll appear there. Same thing with the suggestions. That's what they'll appear too.
You said when I'm trying to like the white paper. You said that when you edit a document, you don't need an account. You just need a link.
Right. So that sharing link.
Sent from who?
Yeah, the link is like from me. So like I made this Google Apps tips.
Oh, from the sender.
Yeah, from whoever made it. So like I made this document and I go File, Share, and there's that link here. See that edit link? Mm-hmm. That's what I copied. And I actually, to help people in the webinar who are logged in online, I had copied the link at the top. So they were able to click, and even though they didn't sign in, you can see actually these anonymous users, these people use that link to come in.
And they can do anything that a person with their account can do.
Mm-hmm.
As far as that.
Yeah, if you make the settings, they can edit whatever.
Okay.
If you just want them to view it, you can say
that's
anyone with a link can view.
They can do. Okay.
Yeah, that's all with the privacy settings. So take a look at that. Be careful with that. Make sure you got it to the right setting, the way you wanted it. So you can always say, oh, no, you know what? I don't want to send a link to all these crazy yahoos. I want them just to see it or comment on it. And then there you go. So I'm going to change back to edit because people are editing it right now. But yeah, it's pretty good. Okay. Well, I don't want to keep you because I know it's Saturday. Are we all going to go clubbing after this? Okay. Those of you online. Okay. So, Dan, should I log out? And then if anyone has questions in the room, I can help.
Let me just talk to new people online for a second.
Okay, cool.
For those of you who are still logged in online, I just want to thank you. For joining us today. If you have any questions for us at any point in time, you can feel free to send us an email. You can either send it to Stephanie, I'm sure she'll be more than welcome to answer your questions, or to myself, and I can put both of those emails in the chat box there. You can also email adultstudentlife@sju.edu, and you'll be able to ask us any questions you have about this webinar, other webinars, or any of our other upcoming events. I do want to let you know that we do have another event coming up on how to save time and be productive. We want to invite you to that event as well. I want to thank you again for attending, and if you have any other questions, like I said, send us an email. We're putting in there now. Thank you again for attending, and we'll see you next time.
So,